What's up, beautiful people? I'm Erin. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about a brand versus a business and really diving in what the difference is. Now, I hear a lot of people using brand and business interchangeably, and they are not the same. I know that they are very close to being the same, and a business can be a brand, but a brand is not always a business. So I want to just clear up the chaos, okay? Now, first things first, I want to just establish the fact that you can have a strong brand and a weak business, or you can have a strong business and a weak brand, or you can have a strong brand and strong business, or a weak brand and weak business. So what our goal is to have a strong brand and business, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys in this video. So first and foremost, what is a brand? So a brand is used to help people identify a business, product, service, person through visuals and messaging. A business is an organized entity that sells products or services for profit. So the brand is needed for the business, but a business is not necessarily needed to have a brand. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna break down first, what is a strong business? All right, so what is a strong business? First things first, a strong business knows that there is a demand in the market for a particular product or service. So people want it, basically. Second thing is a strong business is making profit. And this can be debated upon, especially in the tech world with startups and tech startups. But for the most part, most businesses are making profit, and that is what establishes the fact that they are a functioning, strong, working business. Another thing that makes for a strong business is legitimacy and professionalism. Honestly, you guys, this is a really hard thing to nail, especially for a lot of small business owners, because we oftentimes find ourselves doing so many things. And so having a high level of professionalism when it comes to customer service, and even when it comes to managing your team and your processes and things like that, that really makes for a strong business. On top of the fact that it is legitimized, which means that it is a legitimized business entity, meaning it is an LLC or an S Corp or a corporation or whatever. You have filed for and are an established business entity within your state or wherever you live. And then another thing is that you have trust with your consumers. And this trust is built over time with maybe the results that someone gets from your products or services, the experience they have with interacting with your products or services, the branding that it has. All of these things build up to trust with your consumers. So for example, if you are a restaurant owner, and I've gone to your restaurant 5 times and the food is spot on every time, I trust the fact that this food is just bomb. Okay, but if I go one time and it's good that first time, and then I come back and it's like, ooh, this is not good. And then I go back for a 3rd time and it's okay. And then the 4th time is decent, but it ain't like the first time. That's where you start to lose the trust in your consumers. So the same thing goes for products and services. A strong business is consistent and they have the trust of their consumers. Another thing strong businesses have are workflows and systems. And again, this is another pain point for a lot of small business owners. It's really hard to establish those things early on. One, because a lot of us simply just don't know. I know when I first started Erin On Demand, I didn't know what systems were and what task management software and all of these things. I didn't know what any of those things were. And so I was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants when I was operating my business and just kind of like doing everything manually, which is it's not a bad thing if you can handle that. But having systems in place, having things automated, having processes for certain tasks, and having those things documented in the form of standard operating procedures, or my husband calls them standard work instructions. I think that's what he calls them, SWIs. I call them SOPs. Having things like that in place so that if someone leaves, it's easy to bring someone else in and fill those gaps. Or if you go on vacation and you want to delegate some tasks to someone else in your business, maybe your assistant, there are steps written out and documented that they can take to fill in those gaps. So strong business has processes, they have systems, and those things are also documented. Strong businesses also have good financial organization and are in good financial standing. So when I say financial organization, I mean your financial books are kept really well. I have a bookkeeper who is also known as my mom, and her business is called The Bookkeeper Mom. Isn't that so fitting? And so she manages all of the finances. She pays everyone. She makes sure any invoices are taken care of. She makes sure that all of our softwares are up and running. She makes sure that everything is solid for Erin On Demand, as well as our taxes are paid on a quarterly basis. So just making sure that you're in good financial standing. Also, because it's important to know how much you're making. Strong businesses know what they're making, and they know what they're spending, and they know how much they need to be spending and how much they need to be making in order to stay on track, to be able to continue to run the business. So that's another thing that's really important when you are a business, is to make sure that your finances are good. A strong business also has a great leader. This is really important. Leading a business is not the easiest thing to do, but when you have a strong leader, it's so much easier to run the business, to build trust with your team, and to just kind of flow through your business. Because for me, like, I'm still learning how to lead, because I'm still new. Like, I've had my business for a little over 2 years now, and it has been 19, 20, 20, 3 years. It's been 3 years. So we just hit 3 years this summer. And so, I mean, I'm still like a business toddler. So, leading a team, and I just started leading a team in like the last year and a half. So it does take practice. And I think that being a good leader is something that, you can start practicing before you have a team. You can, make sure that you're being very decisive, and that your decisions are yours, and that you are creating these systems and doing all of these things, because that's going to help your leadership be even stronger. Which leads to my next point, is that strong businesses have a healthy team culture. And so when you do get to that point where you are hiring people, your team culture is healthy. Like, people want to work with you and work for you. And again, this is something that can be established before you even have a team. Like, okay, maybe you need to set some boundaries for yourself, so that you can still have some work-life balance, so that when you hire your team, you don't expect them to be working around the clock for you. Or, cultivating that relationship with different brands maybe that you work with, or different people that you meet with, or your customers and clients. Like, people just enjoy working with you. That has a lot to do with the culture of your company and the culture of your team. And lastly, a big thing that strong businesses have is great customer service. I think this goes without saying, you guys. I mean, you have to treat your customers well, or else it's just like, what are you doing this for? So great customer service is a no-brainer. And really, the very, very last thing about strong businesses and qualities of a strong business is that they are scalable. And that means that they're able to be grown without a cap on the financial end. So, for example, for me, like, when I was doing one-on-ones, there was only so many one-on-ones that I could take. So that's not really a scalable business model, because there's only so much time in a day, which means that there's only so many people that I can talk to on a one-on-one basis. So that revenue stream was not scalable for me. Yes, I could increase my price per call, even if it was $100,000 for a call, which is insane. But even if it costs that amount of money, there's still only so many calls that I could take for that amount of money. And so if you have, though, a product that's out there in the world, like, there's almost an infinite amount of production that can happen around that product so that people can continue to consume it, and it's not in direct exchange for your time. So that's really what being scalable is that there's no direct exchange for time to cap off how much you can potentially make through this business. So great businesses are scalable. Just like, think of things that you consume, like apps. Like, tech is probably one of the most scalable industries to get into. Like, think about Instagram. There are millions of users on there, and there's really no cap to how many people can be on Instagram. Like, it doesn't fill up. So the platform is just constantly making money every time someone new signs up without the owners having to exchange, like, talk to each member for, they couldn't even do that for a second in a day. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what being scalable is. So if you want to create a strong business, I recommend you ask yourself these questions. Would my business be able to run without me? I think this is the most important question to ask. And I'm going to go more into this in future videos, but it's especially now where influencing is such a big career path and coaching is such a big career path. It also boils down to, like, okay, what if something happens and you can no longer do that? What happens if you grow older and maybe you don't even want to do influencing anymore, or you just, I don't know, you don't look like how you looked back in the day, so maybe the deals aren't rolling in as fast. Whatever the case may be, or even the pandemic, how that kind of came about and affected certain industries. It's like, is this business pandemic proof or me proof? Could it be run and leave a legacy even if I'm not the one doing it? So thinking about that, do I know how much my business is making? That's also a very important question to ask yourself in trying to build a strong business. And then also, are there systems in place to keep tasks organized and efficient? Because really, y'all, a strong business is very efficient, and there is a role for everything, and it should be running pretty seamlessly, like a machine. So it takes time to get there, yes. I just want you to start thinking about these questions, because a lot of us get so focused on building our brand and being recognized and growing our following, and all of those things are important, yes. And we're gonna get into that in the next half of this video, but it's not the end all be all. And without a strong backbone, it's like you're building a house on sand, and it might look good for the second that it's up, but if something comes, it might crash. It will crash, okay? So let's talk branding and what makes a strong brand. Now remember,